Well, as you know, one of the images that I use for spirituality is the image of a reservoir or a well, and it's you know a set of things, scripture, practices, people that we mold our life after. That helps us in in growing, in when we're really struggling in situations of real stretching, and a lot of it, interestingly enough, I think is very, well, I would say traditional, in the sense that you go back to Scripture, you go back to the saints, you go back to practices like centering prayer and meditation and praying together and the Psalms, things like that. So it's this kind of thing that you try to find those places where you can somehow rest or find new excitement for your life of this pretty risky business, of being a pioneer, of being a missionary, of moving beyond just the boundaries of the church. You have to have a community, and in community you have to have friends, and I really think you have to have inspiration. Where I see that, great teachers in my life, or just great mentors. I think to start right away with being mentored, to have a spiritual director, this is really essential. Because it's a long road to hoe. I mean, it's a long ways to go. If you're in your 20s and you're starting out, and you're going to have 40, 50 years of ministry ahead of you, and I think it's only if you're rooted in your tradition, if you're rooted in community, if you're constantly looking at people like. I mean, right now I'm really inspired by Pope Francis, or by Francis of Assisi, or by some of the other people in my life that most people don't know, but are really great teachers and formators and things like that. It's only if you have that inspiration you can continue to move ahead. And of course, I mean, it goes without saying, time in prayer. I mean, that you just need the time to stop, and you need the time to listen. You need art. You need, I was telling you a couple of weeks ago, I've developed this practice now of reading a poem every day. Doesn't matter what it is. I just have this big thing of poems, and I just read one every day, and it's just the beauty of it is very sustaining. Music in my life is really important. It's those kinds of things. I would think, I mean, I'm not a great sports person, but I would think, that kind of exercise and all these kinds of things they're spiritual practices. They're not just things to waste time. And yet, wasting time is also a practice. That not everything you do is focused on your ministry or something you can use or something like that. But I think it's you develop a life where your life really is always. Is always interesting and always good to live. I mean, that's the way I feel. I certainly feel blessed by that myself, and I think it's only by having the community and the interests and beauty in your life and people in your life and intimacy of friendship and so forth. That's what's going to get you through the long haul, I think. Easier said than done, too. I can talk, toward the end of my life and say, oh, yeah, this is what I've done, but, I haven't always done it. and I guess you have to have, a lot of humility and a lot of humor, too.